Virtual chat rooms have been around since the early days of the internet. From the simple, text-only pressure cookers of drama that were forum sites to virtual worlds aimed at elementary school kids, gathering places online have wedged their way into our social routines. Some of our very first easily accessible programs were channels to talk to other hobbyists and chat up possible new friends. We've kept the trend of social spaces online going for decades, building new ways to talk as technology evolved. Although the method of delivery has shifted away from what it once was, with the internet becoming more and more centralized and forum chats becoming less and less common, most people who are on the internet at the moment likely have an image of some sort of chat room in their head. Maybe you grew up alongside them on your family computer, or use Discord to shoot the shit with like-minded people nowadays. There is a name for this type of gathering ground: a third place. Not home, not work, not an obligatory destination where you must spend your days. Something entirely separate and something vital. If you've been around the web recently, you may have seen a chat room game skyrocket into popularity. Webfishing, an Animal Crossing-inspired fishing simulator, was conceived by Lame Developer as a game jam entry. You start with a blank character, a fishing rod, and some bait, wandering through a smoothly rendered clearing in the heart of the forest. Casting and reeling is insanely easy. You plop your bobber in a body of water, wait, and then follow the word prompts on the screen. Holding, then mashing, then holding. Simple as that. You'll be able to build up your very own aquatic collection and sell any fish you don't want for an extra buck or two. Your catches will vary in rarity, sell price, and even size. Special varieties, similar to shinies in Pokemon, can also be caught if you have too much time on your hands like I fucking do. Coins earned allow you access to cosmetic items for your avatar and upgrades for your fishing equipment. Quests and goals for unique catches are available on the billboard in town as well if you like a challenge. Despite the fact that you do fish quite a bit, the game focuses more on social interaction than anything. Users can create multiplayer servers of their own or join servers made by others. You can choose between making a public server that anyone can join, a private server that's accessed via code, or a single player save for just you. There's also an 18+ toggle, which marks the servers as containing the usual 18+ things. We'll get to that eventually. In the two multiplayer servers, you can send chat messages, do little poses, and use props to interact with others while you catch your fish. It isn't competitive per se. You can level up, but that's pretty much where any comparison stops. It's a remarkably simple concept, and for $4.99, it isn't too much of an investment. The first iteration of Webfishing, which is available on itch.io, was made in only 8 days. This version was a lot more rough around the edges than the final, which was released in October of this year. It did, however, feature the same charming art style and easygoing gameplay, making it a great blueprint for the Steam port that blew up massively. The game has garnered itself a huge player base, created a fandom for itself, and fostered plenty of new friendships, making it a place many people have longed for. But what's the appeal? How are games like this a third place when they aren't a physical area? What even is a third place, really? Today, we are going to have a chat about web fishing and how it ties into the lack of neutral spaces in our real lives. Settle down, bait your hook, and slam some dad rock. We're going fishing. I gave a very brief explanation of the third place theory at the beginning of this video, but it needs far more context. Warning for a really annoying rant up ahead, you can't miss it, it'll feel like getting stuck in a deep, oil-filled pothole. The third place theory was coined in 1989 by sociologist Ray Oldenburg in his book The Great Good Place. Going back to the first and second places I mentioned earlier, work/school or home, we can see two very necessary places in our lives. Work occasionally gives us the means to survive physically by giving us money to eat, house ourselves, and all of that shit. Home is the base where we decompress after all of that, returning to sleep and participate in plenty of solo activities. These two places create a line, drawn over and over again as we go back and forth from home to work every day. Both are incredibly familiar to us, and both serve a distinct purpose, providing financially or educationally, and preparing to do so again the next day. The third space, however, is separate from both, with its purpose being to provide community and solace. In his book, Oldenburg lists a few examples of third places: cafes, bars, bookstores, parks, and hair salons. Third places are explicitly areas of informal gathering rather than forcing a party to host or entertain. They usually provide a topic of conversation, such as recent reads at a bookshop or the drink you're having at a coffee shop. They aren't a means to an end. They're simply a pot for community and socialization to grow from. They don't come with the expectations that houses and workplaces do. They're meant to be visited often without the restraint of plans. The key features of a third place, as listed in The Great Good Place, are as follows. Number 1, neutral grounds, where one is not required to host and people can come and go as they please. Number 2, leveling. The atmosphere disregards someone's status in society, such as wealth, belongings, and social ties. Number 3, conversation as the main activity. Other activities may be going on as well, but the main focus is connection. Number 4, low profile. The space doesn't exude fanciness or glamour, which could alienate possible newcomers. Number 5, accessible and accommodating. The area must not feel exclusive to certain groups, and it should meet the needs of those inside it. 6, playfulness. A laid-back, easy tone of the space dictates how people interact with it. 7, regulars. A set of people who visit frequently and act as constants, as well as guides for newcomers. And 8, a home away from home. It should act as a comfort rather than pushing patrons further away. Oldenburg's book primarily discusses third places in the context of American suburbs and how the access to meeting places is limited for those within them. Neutral spaces to meet in provide a point of connection for people who may otherwise feel put off by initiating friendships, and it also removes the stress of planning and executing a hangout. You are not a group of people in an empty room. You are participating in the creation of a community and likely learning more about others through doing so. The Great Good Place is an awesome read and I highly recommend it, but that's what you need to know from it mostly. I don't have a degree in anything, so do your own research to decide whether or not you agree with what I have to say. So, what do cafes and bookstores have to do with chat rooms and subsequently web fishing? Well, like I said, chat rooms and older social media often fill in the role of a third space. In lieu of the fact that these sites are obviously not physical places, they provide the illusion of one. They are neutral grounds which do not usually place significance on social standing, mostly due to the anonymity of the internet. Places like these are also normally easy to access, with an internet connection and an email being all you need. You're also allowed to visit and leave these places whenever you please. The expectations are cleared other than basic decency, making them pretty prime examples of third spaces. They're contained, but easy to enter into. The more we interact in spaces like these, the less online socialization is tagged with fear and pressure. Virtual worlds, fandoms, and online games have kept the idea of a third place a visible one. Running around as your freaky little fish in a bubble on Webkins may have afforded you some of your best friends as a kid. Meeting up for a dramatic romance scene in the Club Penguin Pizzeria was, in fact, participating in the community, whether you spoke to those people again or not. The divorce was also an act of community, which my parents told me. I'm kidding, they're still together, they just hate each other. In the case of virtual worlds specifically, not only do we get an outline of a space, but we get a visual representation of it too. These sites often had you doing your own thing around the map, but giving you the chance to do that thing in the presence of others. You could speak up if you wanted to, but you weren't forced to. Although virtual world websites still certainly exist, we have seen a decline in their presence following the death of Flash. Plus, many people would have moved on from these sites as they got older. Not me, I still check in on my Webkins, but some uncool losers. Enter Webfishing, a game that combines all of the facets of a third place with a low price tag and the ability to cultivate more adult-oriented spaces. Kinda. There's a lot that plays into that, but I'm not qualified to get into the weeds here. Web fishing evokes the same calming, nostalgic imagery as Animal Crossing, but provides a more direct path to speaking with others. It acts as a perfect interim between you and a wider community. You can choose how much or how little you interact. The point of entry, skills-wise, is incredibly low, as well as the graphical requirements, so nearly anyone with an internet connection can play. The overall community community that I've encountered myself has been mostly very kind, surprisingly so for a game gaining popularity this fast. I've had nice conversations multiple times, and I've also seen terrible shit. It's so reminiscent of what these types of chat rooms used to be, for better and for worse. I've enjoyed the time I've spent, and I've also left servers because people were saying things that I can't repeat on YouTube. It really brings you back. Collecting fish is the main goal of the game, but there isn't an overwhelming rush to fill your aquarium. The private feature is also wonderful since it provides that feeling of togetherness for friends who may not be able to see each other in person. Some users have made certain interest-based servers to get groups together, and I've seen some people have real conversations while they fish. When real-life spaces, like third places, become inaccessible, online places help to bridge the gap between the first and second places. I will say, although it's incredibly impractical, I wish there was some way to genuinely verify your age before entering any 18+ chat. From being in a couple of them, I haven't been shocked to my core, but there are definitely things that children shouldn't see being said in there. It's a very rough road to walk, especially as a developer, but it always has been. With the way that people are, there's a lot of territory where things could go wrong, but that's nothing new. Especially with sites like Omegle back in the day, we've always had issues regarding child safety. I hope with everything in my heart that things are, to the highest possible degree, kept under control, but only time will tell, especially in this situation. It is important to note that virtual communities don't replace the need for physical third places, and some might find one version more comfortable and welcoming than the other. However, web fishing is an example of adaptation and finding ways around the lack of opportunities to connect in real life. For example, during lockdown in 2020, Animal Crossing became a neutral ground to be with friends and engage in a community. Hell, many games morphed and took on that role at that time. It's an interesting way of tracking how we adjust our social needs and how things have shifted in response to the outside world changing. Third places are vital, and humans have been inventing them over and over again in many different ways. They break down the barriers that a lot of other meeting places put up and allow for people to meet new faces they might otherwise never see. I think web fishing is awesome, and I'm very excited to see the chat room idea come back, and I hope that we can continue to improve upon it and make it safer for everyone. There's a lot of baggage that comes with creating an online space, and I completely applaud the developers for doing so. They caught lightning in a bottle with this one, and I'm excited to see where this genre goes in the future. Anyway, if you're itching to check out a third place, consider going to your local library or small coffee shop. These pockets do still exist, and you never know what you might find out there. Or go web fishing. Maybe I'll see you there. Thank you very much for watching this quick little essay. I really appreciate it. And shout out to everyone I've seen on web fishing. If you were in this video, feel free to let me know. Thank you so much to my members for your support. It is so appreciated. And I hope I'll see you guys next time. Stay safe, stay wonderful, and goodbye.